objectives and the introduction of the experiments.
Reflex action and reflex arc. Whenever we happen to come close to an object that is capable of harming us, we immediately withdraw the part of the body that is the most vulnerable. This is called reflex action. When a person touches a hot cup, the sensory receptors in the hand send a stimulus via the afferent pathway, which contains afferent neurons, to the spinal cord. The afferent neurons enter the dorsal nerve root of the spinal cord. The stimulus is passed on to the efferent neuron, which travels the efferent pathway to reach the effector organ, in this case the muscles of the arm. As a result, the hand is quickly pulled back. The brain is not involved in the reflex actions, as it would take more time for the impulses to travel to and fro from the brain. The afferent neurons or receptors, taking the causal stimulus to the CNS, the spinal cord. The efferent neurons or effectors, the exciter neurons, and the action performed in response to the stimulus together form the reflex arc.
Here are the materials and the methods for the swallowing reflex experiment.
Next is the discussion of the experiment. The first one is the experiment swallowing reflex.
Here are the questions for this experiment. First question, why is it difficult to swallow our saliva in rapid succession? Is swallowing a completely voluntary action? The second question is, explain the ability to swallow in rapid succession when drinking water compared to just swallowing saliva in your mouth cavity.
Here are the materials and the methods that being used for the experiment reaction time to sight.
So this is the result and observation for the reaction time to sight.
Next is the discussion of experiment reaction time to sight.
The question for this experiment is there any evidence that the subject improved with practice?
Here are the materials and methods that is being used for the experiment reaction time to touch.
This is the result and observation for the experiment reaction time to touch. From the last experiment, we obtained that the speed of impulse transmission is 7.03 meter per second.
Now is the discussion of experiment reaction time to touch.
Is the subject's reaction time longer in experiment reaction to touch compared to experiment reaction to sight? If so, why? The second question, which of the reflexes that you have investigated are spinal reflex and which are cerebral? Explain your answer. The last question is, what other reflexes are shown by human? what parts of the CNS, spinal or cerebral are involved in each case. Here is the conclusion for these experiments. These are the references that we use in this experiment.